Hello, and welcome back to Backrooms TCG YouTube channel. I'm Corey, and today I wanted to talk some about deck building and the way you should go about it, and the right cards to pick to make a successful deck. So when building a deck in Backrooms TCG, it consists of 52 cards. 30 of those cards are going to be your room cards, 10 of those will be entity cards, and 10 of them will be item cards. 2 will be your outcome cards. So cards in Backrooms TCG have lights in the corner. These represent the rarity as well as the difficulty level. So yellow being your more common and easier runes, going up to green, red, purple. Then we have different rarities for kind of higher tier cards that don't necessarily affect gameplay as much, so anything purple and up is treated as the same when it comes to deck building, but pure and void lights are also a thing. And then we have a shattered light rarity, which is kind of played like a wild card that can be inserted as a yellow, green, red, purple, or whatever. So when you start to build a deck in this game, you should start with your room cards. That's your main puzzle piece in this game and how you're gonna move. I recommend no more or so than 6 hallways. Now we've learned this through playtesting that hallways are a pretty powerful card in that they can fill up your deck in hand and allow a lot more movement. But with this, having so many of them can kind of throw off the balance a bit, so I do recommend, if you can and have the option, to add some other variable different types of runes to keep your gameplay, a little more tough and a less easy experience to where you'll have to deck out quite as many times. So for me, I put 4 hallways in my deck, and then I have 10 dead ends and 10 corners. Dead ends and corners I think are mostly going to be a lot of your traveling, besides your other rooms that you can add in and given hallways, but dead ends are kind of negative effects on your sanity, while corners are a slight positive, but they both give you the same results and don't change too much. It's 1 to your deck in hand, and then you can play 1 card. And then you want to try to add in any other kind of cards that you think you can handle as far as difficulty. For room card limits, you can have an unlimited amount of yellow cards in a deck as you want, but you're allowed 5 green light cards in a deck, 3 red light cards in a deck, and up to 2 purple light cards in a deck. But you don't have to have a max of any of those, and you can kind of play with however many you think you want in your deck. I think all these things work in tandem with each other, especially the items and the entities, but the rooms also play a huge effect on this, especially with rooms like Punctured Wall, where you need an item to travel through it. So when you build a deck, you want to make sure that you don't put in a Punctured Wall without having the appropriate thing, or putting a dark or a bright hall without having the goggles, or a poison hall without having gas mask, for example, will only be a detriment to your deck whenever you don't have the correct item to successfully conquer it. Not necessarily that it's a bad thing, but it will be making the game more difficult on yourself, because you're already going to have to be finding that one piece that you need to travel through those rooms, which in itself is going to be difficult enough. So yeah, for me, I have 10 dead end, 10 corner. I put 2 destroyed halls in. This comes from the website exclusive deck that we had, the blue one. It's no longer available anymore, but it was slightly unbalanced anyway, so another step in learning for us. Same thing with the Punctured Wall. I did have 2 of these in here, but I subbed a second Pitfalls in because I thought it would be kind of more of a challenge with the way Pitfalls work. This was a promo from July, and it works similar to the Void, which is a permanent card in which that you can't move it. This one in particular, you can cover it, but only with room cards. If you do play an item or an entity, friendly or unfriendly, it gets sent straight through the death pile, so almost like the item or the entity falls through the pitfalls. It's a real fun card and has a cool mechanic. And then I put False Wall in. You could have 2 of these, but I think that's a bit much, so I only put 1 in. But it's a very powerful card. If you have a big enough deck in hand, you can escape any kind of situation you're in almost on the field of play. So moving on, next we have entities. You run 10 entities in a deck, and these entities are really where you will kind of also set your difficulty for this game. So for entities in a deck, you're allowed unlimited yellow light level cards. Pretty much any card in this game, if it's a yellow light level, you can use unlimited amounts in a deck. For entities, it's 4 green light levels max, 4 red light level entities max, and 2 purple or higher entities allowed max. If you put in some harder defeat ones like I have in Imitatus and Citan, are fairly difficult, as well as Bacteria. If you don't have the right item cards to deal with these entities, there's no point in putting them in your deck. So say for example, I put in 3 copies of Bacteria and 2 of Citan, and yet I only have 1 card that does 6 damage and 1 card that does 7 damage when Citan needs 8, so then I need another card that does 1 or 2 to supplement to finish him off, and then I need a combination of another cards to do 12 more damage to defeat those 2 Bacterias, and another 8 damage to defeat the other Citan that I would have in the deck. So you have to make sure you either have enough firepower to defeat the entities, or you have concealable items that you can use to sneak past these entities. But Citan, for example, cannot be concealed or ran past at all, so there's certain ones like Dollface has to have almond water, so you need to make sure if you don't put almond water in the deck that you have enough firepower to be able to defeat it, or else it's going to be an undistractable entity and kind of be more difficult on yourself in a way. So I try to look and see, like Smiler for example does 2 damage, so I put 2 Liquid Pains in there to go with my 2 Smilers. But Smilers also can be distracted by Shrink Drink, Scarebacks, Almond Water, really any concealable. And you can also use a tougher item on it, say if I wanted to. So then I leave the option to also say, okay, Imitatus has 5, I'll use a Boom Shrooms and a Liquid Pain, or I can use Death Shrooms, or I can use the Scarlet of Hearts. You want to make sure you have the right options to defeat every entity that's in here. Boom Shrooms for Dollface, Almond Water for Dollface. Bacteria has Death Shrooms that does 6, Grolix is a friendly, Moss Nest is a friendly, or a dual type Grolix is, but you know. Citan's our big one in here, so I made sure we use that, or a combination of this, and a couple other items. And same thing for Shadow Dealer being a friendly. Friendlies are nice to add in when you have a lot of difficult entities to kind of help you. Them or companion cards are nice to have as well. So yeah, with that brings us to our items. So like I was saying, you pick the items kind of based in tandem on your previous choices for rooms and entities. And items allowed in a deck, similar to the other entities where you're allowed unlimited amount of yellow items, you're allowed 4 green light level items, 3 red light level items, and 2 purple or higher light level items. So this brings us to our outcome cards. You have to have 1 exit to win card in the game, either in your first deck or one of your next level decks if it's not in your first deck. And then you'll need to have a portal card, or a permanent type portal card. So your other one can be a portal to another level, or a portal to the void, or any other kind of dimension, greener pastures, etc. So the goal here would say, if we were running another deck, we would run the void and car park level portal, and then hopefully we find the portal to car park level, and then that'll let us get to the next deck, which essentially would have golden stairs in it, which would let us win. You could, in theory, run as many decks as you wanted in a row if you could keep going and put golden stairs in the last one, and you could marathon, you know, a bunch of different sets or decks, however you wanted to do it. There's a lot of possibilities with that. But the main thing is you need to have one portal to death, essentially. One bad portal and one good portal. And those are your outcome cards. I think that covers everything I wanted to say today. So if you have any questions, please reach out, join our Discord, ask away. We have a great community there of knowledgeable players and people that are willing to help. So I appreciate all of y'all. Please throw a like on here, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you on the next one.